Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So you guys have been following me this weekend. This past weekend, I took a break from pouring bismuth art, and I'm going out there to explore and network with more people. Now, I routinely run into a wall when I try to go out as a solosexual / happily single guy. A lot of places just are very excluding of me, and not in a very overt way, which is what makes it really, really suck. A lot of places are just very hostile to the idea of solosexuality. I talked about running into trouble at my workplace, but out in public it happens too. And it seems to be a blind spot for a lot of people. So, for example, to give you an idea of how bad a blind spot is, sometimes the way to complain about bad service for being single is to say that you recently broke up, and when you tried to enjoy starting over again, you ran into a barrier. Let me give you an example. I have a very toxic relationship with going to carnivals and county fairs. I don't even know why I go there anymore, because I run into this every time for going on many years now, that a lot of rides don't accommodate one person, and which is fine. I'd love to ride the ride safely. Don't get me wrong. It's not worth dying over riding a ride. The problem I have is with the management of the rule, right? You can put people together, or you could just blatantly disallow people to come here alone. And unfortunately, most carnival operators choose the latter. The analogy I like to give is that it would probably be very unsafe to fly on an airplane alone too, right? It'd probably be unsafe to have less than 50, 100, however many number of people there, because of the weight of the plane, because of you want other people around you to facilitate in evacuating the plane if something were to happen, right? But the airlines don't say you can't travel alone, right? They just put you into a group of 50, 100 people. In fact, they sometimes group you with way too many people these days, right? Why doesn't it work the same way with the carnival ride, right? That's the analogy I like to give. But people have a blind spot for some reason towards singles. I was just on one of their Facebook fan pages for Midway Carnival, which is the company that for the carnival I was at 2 nights ago, and also for the carnival that I was at last year, where I ran into the same problem at the Ellensburg Rodeo. And I wrote on there, it was a mixed bag. I would say half the people replying to me supported my view. The other half completely had a blind spot about what was going on. Now, what was really funny was last year when I complained to the Ellensburg Rodeo. I didn't complain to Midway Carnival last year. I complained to the Ellensburg Rodeo. At first, I started with my solosexual love life and all that. When that didn't work, I used a different name, and I said that, I'm very disappointed because I had just broken out of a toxic relationship, and I was trying to take my mind off that and ran into this problem instead. I actually got more reception out of the second story. People just have this blind spot toward the idea of solosexuality, which I think is very bizarre given what we just went through with LGBTQ and Biden's executive order and all that, which is why I really despise one particular word he used on the executive order. Go watch my last video about that. But it's an incredible blind spot. So during the pandemic, I'm very disappointed that a lot of workplaces have adopted this policy that because of all the emergencies that happened last year, that the idea of donating your vacation time to your colleagues. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the idea of helping each other, but when help is only reserved in a certain direction or for a certain circumstance, that's where I have the problem with, right? So people who are solosexual have their other work-life balance issues to tend to, right? And what really sucks is a lot of people stick their hand out to me because I'm solo sexual. I don't have a life. I enjoy things that other people don't relate to, and so it's no big deal if you don't get to see your lunar eclipses or go home to pour bismuth art. Who cares about that stuff anyway? They don't say it out loud, obviously. I wish they did, because then we could have a frank discussion about it. I bring in all sorts of exotic foods to the office, and then people stick their hand out and bum the food off of me sometimes because they want to try this exotic food. They know I don't have any friends to eat with, or at least that's what they think. And what really sucks is that you share your food with these people, and then later on you realize they're doing better off than you are, right? You give them a few vacation days because they need to tend to COVID-19. Then you realize they're doing better off than you are. They're getting more vacation time than you are. They're having some of the most luxurious food at home, and then they still have to stick their hand out. That's where it really hurts, when you discover that. Anyways, just sorry I got a little bit off topic, but open your eyes and find out what blind spots you have, and look there for a moment.